Welcome to 10 Minutes With. It's a podcast for people who want to listen to podcasts but don't have all day. We've got a quick chat with someone you might be interested in learning a little more about in about 10 minutes. Jordan Feliz is a husband, dad, Jesus follower, and a music maker. He's also a hat wearer and a Cali-guy at heart, and he just celebrated his birthday. I don't know if you know this, but when you turn 35, you are technically old enough to become president in the United States. So,
Whoa.
Is there a chance that you're running this year?
Probably not. Probably not going to run for president this year. But, I feel like if there was a year that my chances might be pretty high, it might be this year. So,
Yeah. And, I was thinking the same thing. And so, in anticipation of your campaign, I've gone through some of your songs and have pulled some potential campaign slogans. As an added bonus, you're going to tell me what song each of these slogans is from. Okay. All right.
Okay.
America, lay the troubles down, eating your soul.
I love that. That's from the river.
That is from the river. Okay. How about this
Yeah.
one? Okay. My fellow Americans, future's bright and there ain't no doubt.
Oh, gosh. Changed.
That is correct. Okay. How about this
Yeah.
one? I feel like the United States can really get around this one. You have run down every road and you've lost your way back home.
Oh, my goodness. Never too far gone.
That is correct. Okay. How about this one? These are all very good slogans, by the way. You are
Hey, let's go.
you're a great slogan writer. Okay. How about this one? Stop, collaborate, and listen.
Is that MC Hammer? I wasn't a 90s rap guy, you know what I mean? I was so close, but so far,
Now, this is the second time that you and Colton have taken this Love and Light tour out, and it seems like you two are kind of having a blast. Would you say that you and Colton Dixon are officially in a bromance?
I've been asked this many times, and I'll leave it up to the people, we'll leave it up to the people. I think that Colton is just like literally we're so different but so similar in so many ways, and I love that we just have fun out on the road. It makes me feel like, it's one of those things. I feel like there's so many things that I feel like our whole life, everything we say, everything we do, like as Christian musicians, it's kind of under this microscope of like, oh, you have to be perfect, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to do this. And so when you're touring with somebody that's like an absolute homie that you love very much, and you love I love his family, I love his kids, like we have I feel like our families are tight knit, and so like whenever you have somebody that you're just so comfortable with out on the road, it just makes things so much fun because and real, and so I mean, yeah, I guess you can call it a bromance, you can call it a friendship, whatever you whatever you want to call it.
There is a point on this tour where you guys sing together. Explain what that's like for people who haven't seen the tour.
Yeah, we really wanted to craft a moment. I kind of brought the idea up in the middle of the last tour because I I just felt like there was obviously we have such a stout camaraderie together, like off stage, but I could tell that there wasn't something like on stage that we could do together, and so that's why we really wanted to put this little mid section into the show. And this middle section is really just about being able to kind of share our hearts with everyone. I feel like it's one thing that I've seen, that in my own show, is sometimes it can kind of feel almost a little transactional. Like you show up, you play your show, you talk for a second. But it's almost like sometimes I feel like, and I don't know, maybe you feel like this too, but sometimes you can kind of show up and play, and it's almost like people don't really get anything from you, And I'm a people person, so I thrive on people, and I just want them to kind of know my heart for what we do, and so that's what this moment's all about. It's about getting people back to, number one, the main thing, which is just making it all about Jesus, but also telling people why me and Colton feel called to what we do, you know? Um, and that it's not just a calling on him and I's life, but it's a calling on our families' lives, you know? And it just makes that moment really vulnerable for us to like kind of get in real life with everybody, and share about our hearts and share about why we feel called to do what we do.
What is your favorite song to perform in concert? I mean, is there's just something where you're going, I can't wait to see how the crowd reacts to this?
You know, there are several, honestly, but lately, the one that I've been really just so it just feels so unreal, honestly, is Jesus is Coming Back. Um, that song for me, like, just for where we are right now in the world, I think that song was written to be a song of hope. And it's really cool to watch people grab onto that hope, but also to be singing something like just that's so powerful, which is the promise of Jesus's return, and also um, that our hope is eternity, you know? And seeing people kind of dive into that in a live setting is really powerful.
Your first song, The River, went to number one. Was it hard after that because you came out of the gate so hot? Like, how do you keep your heart on what God says about success instead of like looking at charts?
That's such a great question. Yeah, it was it was such a blessing. It was almost kind of like a Sour Patch Kid, if I'm honest. There was moments where it was like I immediately felt an insane amount of pressure, just because you're kind of being looked at like, you know, a new artist, and being almost kind of viewed as bigger and more established than what you are. So that was kind of the harder part of it, was that I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I was like literally, a Cali kid that felt like the Lord called me to move to Tennessee, and then my first song kind of exploded. And so I think a lot of that pressure of wanting to be perfect and wanting to be, make sure everybody's really happy. And I started realizing that I can't do that. I can't make everybody happy, and I can't. As all I have to do is I have to stay focused on the assignment that God has given me. Um, and so I think that once that happened, there was just a shift in my own heart of realizing that it's not about the chart. It's not about all the successes. It's like, what everybody calls it in the industry, they call it a one sheet, your achievements. And it's like, you can put up all your achievements and, oh, I got a platinum record and a gold record, and I've got this and I've got that, and I've got two number one songs, and I've got you can like start doing this whole thing. But at the end of the day, that all doesn't mean anything. Really what means something is the impact that you're making on people's lives on a day-to-day basis. And that's really what I feel called to, and my assignment is really just standing true for what God is calling me into. And that's really what I want to stay focused on, and it's what's kept me, I think, grounded. Alongside obviously having great community back home and having a wife that's super supportive and really keeps me on my feet.
Now that you're 35 and officially adult, you can no longer compare your songs to Sour Patch Kids. So you, from now on, the river is like a kale quinoa salad. Okay.
Ooh, kale quinoa, I like it. There we go.
You mentioned being a Cali kid transplanted in Tennessee. Are there things that you miss about the West Coast?
Yeah, there's a lot that I miss, honestly. I would say the main things are just the day trips. I actually just flew back to my hometown with my dad and one of my best friends who's my pastor, actually. And we went, and it was just so cool because it's like we land, at my little tiny airport of kind of the town that's closest to my house. And you land there, you drive into my hometown, and like 30 minutes later you're up in the Sierra Nevadas, and it's covered in snow. And there's you've got your ski hill, and you've got all these things. And it's like the next day we go back down the mountain, and we're down to hang out with friends, and we decide, hey, like maybe we should drive by the lake, and the lake is 10 minutes away. And there's so much to do outdoors. And I know Tennessee, it's got some outdoorsy kind of stuff too, but it's just different in California, with having the mountains and having the beach so close, and having lakes that are what I would say are hyper clean compared to the lakes in Tennessee. So there's just, it's just been a different shift with, planning trips, I would say. But I do miss, just being able to kind of load up the car and say, hey, let's go to the beach today, or let's go to Carmel, or let's go do this, so I do miss that a lot.
You and your wife, Jamie, went to high school together in California. When you look back, do you see how God kind of put these pieces together? Does it sort of leave you in awe?
Yeah, it's so awesome. Being high school sweethearts is, I feel like it's not even like a thing anymore. It's kind of sad, but it has been amazing to see. Jamie and I talk about it all the time, actually, and just watching God kind of facilitate certain relationships in our lives to even come alongside us that were like, supporting our decision to be together so young. We met when we were 15, and like a week later, it's like we were talking about getting married, And I know it sounds crazy, two 15-year-olds kind of saying they're committed, but having the people that supported us and loved on us and encouraged us to grow in our faith together, and from a young age, that was like such a huge moment. And I think, the Lord facilitating all that has like really led to an incredibly successful marriage, which is awesome. And I feel so blessed to have a wife that's so supportive and so incredible, and just my best friend. We have such a good time together, and we love each other so much. It's just awesome.
I don't know if you ever Google yourself or anything like that, but there was something interesting on Wikipedia about you. It said that your music career really got a jump start when someone reached out to you on your MySpace page. And so for anyone who is not an adult yet, how would you describe MySpace?
Dude, that is like the number one. Like, you want to see how old you are if you know what
Right. Also,
MySpace is.
shout out to Tom. Okay. Everybody's
I
first
know,
friend.
dude. Everybody's first friend, Tom, started leading worship when I was 13. And when I turned 16, I got approached by a band that was very popular in California, but they were a heavy metal band. And so I'd been leading worship, and I grew up listening to like Motown music. So metal music was definitely not on like my radar, but just with some prayer, I felt like the Lord was telling me that I needed to go talk to the dudes that had approached me over MySpace and asked me to be their singer. And I realized that the guys that were in this band were really in the metal scene, because they wanted to be able to tell people about Jesus in a scene that, obviously you don't really hear a lot of like Jesus talk in it. And so it kind of set my heart on fire for ministry. We got to give altar calls at bars and theaters, and these crummy little venues, and we got to see people give their life to the Lord in bars and in these crummy theaters, and so it was just really cool to be a part of that. And MySpace obviously led to it, so shout out MySpace. Thank you.
I have a merchandise idea for you.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, you've heard of Air Jordans, right? Like the sneakers.
Yeah.
So I was thinking hair Jordans, like they would be sneakers that have little felt hats on the toes with some of the hair hanging
Oh,
out. Like, do you think
nice.
these could be the next big thing?
I highly doubt it, but
Okay, wait.
uh
What if we went really spiritual with it and we called them Air HEIR Jordans?
oh, I like that. you know I mean, maybe we just sell the hats separately, because that's like double dipping. I mean, that's the businessman in me. You're like, well, listen, you sell the shoe as an Air Jordan,
Right.
but then you get the hat or the crown.
Right.
I love it.
Jordan Feliz is currently on tour with Colton Dixon. The Love and Light Tour comes to Milton, Pennsylvania on March 22nd. Tickets are available on the events page at familylife.org. If you've enjoyed this episode of 10 Minutes With, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next one. You might also consider giving to Family Life, the listener-funded ministry that makes this and other podcasts possible. Go to familylife.org and find out more about what we do. Did you know we have a variety of podcasts? You can get up to date with Family Life news or enjoy some family time with Family Life Kids. There's If That Makes Sense, a Family Life original podcast where they talk about what life is really like as a Christian in your 20s. and Terese Talk, a podcast with help for women to better serve their families and community. They're all free and on demand at familylife.org. Just click podcast in the radio menu.